Good morning, happy Wednesday, and welcome to TipRanks News Bites. I'm Ari Gutman. Today is Wednesday, August 10th, and here are our top news bites. The Consumer Price Index report will be released today, along with regional Federal Reserve presidents who are scheduled to speak all throughout the afternoon. Elon Musk is back in the spotlight after selling millions of shares worth of Tesla. And on a global front, tensions continue to mount after China's military drills off the coast of Taiwan are still continuing. And finally, be sure to stay tuned through and through today's segment for our breaking TipRanks insider news. Whereas a specialty pharmaceutical company just had multiple insiders loading up on shares of the company in excess of $15 million. You surely will not want to miss out. The long-anticipated day of the week has finally arrived. Today we will have fresh inflationary data to digest as the Consumer Price Index, or CPI Report, is released, which will ultimately confirm whether or not prices have actually leveled off for consumers. Now, both economists and investors are expecting the report to depict the slightest decline after oil prices have been sliding over the past couple of weeks. The expectation is that the year-over-year pace of inflation in July is down to 8.7%, less than the 9.1% we saw back in June. Investors are likely to give more weight to a reduction on the core CPI, which is the change of goods and services not including the costs from both food and energy, and may be a better indicator for the state of the actual economy. Also in focus today, the markets will be waiting to hear from two Federal Reserve regional presidents, Charles Evans of Chicago, and later in the afternoon we have the Minneapolis Fed President Neel Kashkari. Both presidents will help provide further input and more insight as to how the Federal Reserve is likely to move forward regarding interest rates. Hopping back into the spotlight, Elon Musk offloads 7.92 million shares worth of Tesla, equating to around $7 billion. The filings were published just yesterday evening, with his decision to sell and execute on the trade just after Tesla's last annual shareholder meeting on August 4th. While the reason for the sale at this point in time remains unclear, many are under the assumption that the sale is related to his current legal battle with Twitter after Musk had a change in plans in buying the social media giant, claiming that Twitter falsified the number of bots as well as spam accounts on the platform. Now, Tesla futures remain flat at this time, but fell yesterday upon the market's learning of his sell-off. Now, just weeks ago, China was warning of retaliatory actions if House Speaker Nancy Pelosi were to visit Taiwan. Ultimately, Pelosi made her way to Taiwan, ignoring the warnings, and since Pelosi's departure from the island, China has responded exactly as they said they would with military action. However, China's recent military drills just 9 miles off the coast of Taiwan have only continued, which has now caught the eye and attention of the Pentagon as they weigh whether or not China is preparing to literally take the island, with ships having crossed the median line crossing into Taiwanese waters. The situation is now being closely monitored. As for what this means for the broader markets, well, Taiwan is a large exporter of electrical components, so any geopolitical troubles that disrupt manufacturing processes would surely impact the global supply chains. Finally, as for our breaking TipRanks insider news, RVL Pharmaceuticals, a specialty pharmaceutical company with a focus on developing eye care products, saw multiple insiders from their executive vice president and COO purchasing $232,000 worth of shares, to the CEO Brian Marketing buying $1.3 million worth of shares, and the largest investment of them all yesterday was from a 10% stakeholder who picked up over $12 million worth of shares. Now, at this time, RVL has a smart score of a 3 on TipRanks, but analysts are forecasting some upside with a target share price around $5 per share. If this eye care pharma investment seems like a suitable one for your portfolio, be sure to jump right onto TipRanks to begin all your due diligence. TipRankers, that's our news for today, but just before we conclude, I have to ask, what are your thoughts on today's CPI reading and how it's going to impact the market? Are we in for some more volatility, or are we catching some relief with the worst being behind us? Be sure to let me know by dropping a comment or two down below. And as always, be sure to stay connected and up to date by tuning in with us right here on TipRanks TV, all the shows you just cannot afford to miss. Now until next time, thank you for tuning in.